Hey everyone, if you're wondering why you can't see my lower body, it's because I'm not wearing pants. So a while ago I worked on a short film of Julie Zahn's called Cactus, but we are working on another one which starts shooting tomorrow. One of the props that we're going to be using, I guess, is this axe, which we need to make replicas of. And it's been a while since I made replicas. So in a way to be more efficient and, you know, not waste as much silicone, I wasted a ton of silicone. But as you can see, it's super flimsy, it's super shoddily made, there are no registration keys. It's a really bad mold. And what makes it even worse, even when I was doing this, I poured way too much silicone. I poured like 2 or 3 times more than I actually needed. So in trying to not waste silicone, I wasted a ton of silicone. And even the thing that I made with the silicone, it's a waste because it's a bad mold that I can't use. And so today is a lesson in not cutting corners, and also, we have only a few hours to correctly make this. So, cue the music and let's get to work. So to start the mold, first I have to cover half of the axe in clay. So for this, I'm using wet clay, which I then cut with a piece of wire. Now with this, I'm trying to cut just enough to where once I bury the axe in it, it'll leave about half of it sticking above. So for this project, I'm cutting about 1 inch. Now it's important to remember with wet clay that it does dry out, so you're going to want to work quickly in cutting out whatever you need and then storing the rest, also spraying water in to keep it moist. From there I then use tools in my hand to try to smooth and flatten out as best as I can before pressing my axe in order to create an indent. From there, I'll then take my tools and I'll cut out a channel in order to sit the axe in. This will save me some clay.
From 100% organic cotton. That means it's long grain.
Alright, so I think that I've kind of buried it enough. Now I just gotta go clean up the edges. So after the axe is in enough for me to be satisfied, I start cleaning up the edges because this is what will create the seam lines later on. And I want to make them as smooth as possible so they'll hopefully be more flush against the item. Now here I'm packing the clay as close as I can to the item, that way hopefully no silicone can get underneath. From there I then put up my mold walls. In this case I'm using some wood walls I built just because it's a lot faster than constantly having to cut out more boards. Next you want to take your silicone, mix it up. In this case I'm using Moldstar 20T because it has a very fast cure time and also it gets pretty solid fast, so I don't have to worry about cracks as much since I'm kind of doing a rush job. I'm almost done with the second mold. Sorry, I forgot to record most of it. However, one thing that I realized is that my 1 gallon bucket of silicone doesn't stretch that far. I'm pretty much all out now. So that's $160 on essentially 1 prop. Good to know though, like that way I know better how to spend it and how far to stretch. Which isn't that far, or at least this time around. After the first half is done, you then flip it over, spray some mold release, and you pour your second half in. Now keep in mind, the only thing that silicone will stick to is silicone, which is why you have to be very, very careful not to have them mix. Unfortunately, since I was in a rush, I forgot to record this portion. After the 2 halves are good, you can then take apart your mold wall and see your final mold. I nearly forgot. Here's the real one, here's the fake one. How about that finish, yeah? Yeah? And that is how I make my axe props. And for all you mold lovers out there, here are your beauty shots of the mold. As I was pouring this, I didn't realize that apparently one of my sewing needles got lodged in to the silicone right there. So that's a permanent little armature in there. So it's now a few days later. Unfortunately, I don't have the original axe anymore, nor the ones that I made for the shoot. But I will let you guys know on my Twitter feed when that video comes out and whatnot. This is the most recent pull that I've done. Now this pull has a bunch of little bubbles on it. And I'm pretty sure actually there's a way to get rid of it if I use back pressure, which means basically all this comes up through the top of the mold. So if I plug it while all the foam is expanding, it should fill itself in. So that's one experiment I want to try on my next mold and see if we can start making really good ones out of foam, because like that material looks good. And on camera, this stuff sold. Also, I used a hard rubber armature in the other one. That way this didn't happen. And then just go whoosh. My. Anyway, come back next week for another video and let me know if you like me making molds like this. And I'll see you guys next Saturday at 11:30.